I'm going for Enter Shikari to hit number 1.
I'd like to see them do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Fuck you.
Hey everyone, Nicky here, and welcome to the Riff Yard. I'm joined as ever by my right-hand man, Rodders from Just a Ride. Rodders, how you doing, my friend?
I'm the right-hand man that waves to the left. I've got it.
Ooh,
It's done now.
I like that. That should go on a t-shirt. Okay, so we got a good one today. As you know, on Riff Yard Media, we have been paying close attention this year to the charts. Now, the charts are kicking up all sorts of things.
The album chart.
The album charts especially, yes. So what does it mean? Does it still mean anything? What is the importance of it today? And how is it all still going? How's it all working? All these silly questions that we're asking and trying to pull the curtain away for you all. So last week we saw Waterparks with their debut record going toe-to-toe with 72 Seasons of Metallica, eventually dropping away via the midweek, which is a shame, but it's a great record. Go and check out Waterparks. Fantastic record. Can't say the same about Metallica, sadly. But this week...
Icy cold.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but facts, bruv. So today, the midweek, as we're filming this, it is Wednesday the 24th. We have got Enter Shikari and Everything But the Girl,
and they're going toe to toe. So let's have a look at some stuff. Right, we've actually got some breaking news as well.
News,
which 2 hours ago kind of ruined this video segment, but. You know what I mean? We'll roll with the punches.
Yeah.
So, Enter Shikari published earlier in the week that they were on course for their first number 1 record. Now, Enter Shikari are no strangers to the top 10. I think the last record got to number 2. They've had a couple of number 4s. They're getting closer and closer to that top of the charts. And, it'd be amazing if they did it. I'm from St. Albans. They were part of the local scene. It's just amazing to see this sort of success. But this chart is really interesting to look at. So this came up a couple of days ago. And you can see Enter Shikari in at number 1, but also in at number 5 as well, with the live album that came out, was packaged with certain limited edition versions that you could buy. But yeah, you see another kind of blast from the past, Everything But the Girl. It's a really interesting story about Everything But the Girl. They were a huge kind of like 90s dance band, and it was a husband and wife. It was a couple who were making music together, and they took a hiatus to raise children, and now they're back. Which I think is a really cool story. It's a great story.
Story.
And great band as well,
Yeah, dude.
Absolute bangers. And I've been listening to both records this week, and they're obviously very different, but I've really enjoyed both of them. But yeah, isn't it weird, right? Look at that chart from number 1 to number 6, and actually you can go down even further. Number 1 to number 8, they're all new entries, bar last week's number 1 from Metallica. Mm-hmm. That obviously says something about the state of the chart. You look at number 9, The Weeknd. It's been on. This album has been out for 114 weeks. And you get Taylor Swift. No, it's crazy. Taylor Swift. Look at that, number 10. She's been out for 26 weeks. So I think it shows a couple of things. Number 1 is that the big dogs. We're talking The Weeknd, Drake. Taylor Swift. All of these guys. They are dominating long term,
Yes.
And then you've kind of got this almost like revolving door of artists that are jumping in. Now, Metallica are by no means a small band, but if you look at that, that drop off from the chart is pretty big.
Yes, it's very significant. Yeah.
But again, it's an interesting thing to look at. These two bands going head to head, and we've basically got some breaking news about 2 hours before. So I'll just bring up the next story. Yeah. That is that so we're in Wednesday now. We're on Wednesday afternoon. The news is that Everything But the Girl have taken the lead over Enter Shikari. Oof. But when you drill down to this, right, it says, I'll just read this. This is an article from officialcharts.com from the UK. It says, things are hotting up in the race for this week's official number 1 album as Everything But the Girl edge ahead of Enter Shikari in today's update. As things stand, indie pop duo Everything But the Girl's first studio album together in 24 years, Fuse, currently sits just 650 chart units ahead of alt rock band Enter Shikari's latest release, A Kiss for the Whole World, at number 2. So there is at the moment only 650 units separating number 1 and number 2. And if you go on Facebook, if you're, for me, like I grew up in St Albans, I was kind of part of the scene that Enter Shikari came from. Your Facebook friends with all these guys. Like I can see, I saw on my feed today, Rob, the drummer, is like, pushing everyone, like, go out, buy the record, come on, let's get to number 1. And obviously, like, maybe people don't know this, but Enter Shikari do a lot for my hometown, St Albans. A lot of the community, they basically bought the music venue that we all used to play at back in the day. They've really refurbed it. They sponsor St Albans City FC. So we're a small little town outside, small little city outside of London, and there's a lot of sort of town pride. So I think everybody who's got roots in St Albans, especially from the rock scene, are going to do their bit to try and get Shikari to number 1. But it's going to be an interesting battle.
They've got a hell of a story. Well, both of them. This is the great thing, right? And this is what we always talk about from like the PR side of things as well, isn't it, dude? Where, what's the story? What's the story? What's the point in all this, apart from the art side of things? And both of these incredible artists have got incredible stories, and I'm enthralled. I'm enthralled in this. It's for someone like me who's not really like the chart guy. I'm into this. I'm really like, okay, right. Things are heating up at the moment, and I've got that buzz. It's almost like reminiscent of the first season of Big Brother. Who's going to come out this week? Who's going to win? No?
A little bit. Yeah, it's a bit of drama. I was going to say it's a bit like when Blur and Oasis went at it.
Yes.
But maybe on a slightly smaller scale. But
it's slightly cuter, yeah.
There's something more exciting. It is definitely more exciting. I mean, you talked about Waterparks last week, and I remember we were all talking on our group chat. Oh, look, on the first day, Waterparks are at number 1. We're Metallica, and it's like
miles ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get to the end of the week, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Listen, debut album from Waterparks is a great record as well. Getting the number 10, most people will bite your hand off for that.
Hugely,
but the fact that it was at number 1, and I think what this goes into, and it kind of goes into that thing we were talking about, like with earache records, in a video we did recently. It's about how the chart is being used and what are the tactics. So essentially, Waterparks will have got that kind of first day number 1, or that day 1 number 1, because of pre-orders, a very enthusiastic fan base going out day 1 and supporting. And that is actually something that generally you would see rock bands, you talk about rock bands compared to maybe pop bands, maybe a few years ago. And, all the rockers would go out on the first day and they would buy the record. And what you might see sometimes is you might see a rock band going in at like number 2, number 3 in the chart in the midweek, and then falling away to sort of 7, 8, 9, at the end of the week, once, you would say the casuals would come out. It was a different world back then, because obviously everything is digital now. But, when we were teenagers, sort of like late 90s, early 2000s, you would see all the rock fans going out day 1 buying. And then you get your Saturday, you get your weekend shoppers. And your weekend shoppers, were buying their CDs at Sainsbury's or Tesco or Asda or whatever, and that, that's when your 8-year-old gets her Backstreet Boys CD. So that's how it worked. And it's interesting, like, okay, that's not exactly what's happening now, but yeah, that kind of drop off from Waterparks kind of illustrates, that different audiences buy their music at different times.
Yes. And I also think I view it as a very positive thing. Okay. The reason being is that you're seeing people get really excited about wanting to help the bands rather than just listening to them as paraphrasing Billy Joe Clark from the other week, which everyone should go and watch that show. It was great, talking about Spotify and everything. Is that music does become a bit wallpaper music sometimes, because people put a playlist on and go about their day. That's fine. That's great. Absolutely fantastic. But for me now, I think what we're seeing is people are really honing in on good bands, and they're getting behind them. But not just like, oh, I'm going to get behind. It's like they're championing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I feel we've come a bit of a full circle with this. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, even on the show, Rod, we were saying, oh, I don't know how it's going. Is the QC is there something wrong with the QC level of artists? But maybe we're actually seeing a bit of a tide turn here, where people are going, hang a minute, here's a band that we're going to champion, you know, and now we've got Enter Shikari coming back. This is good. I feel like we're in a fucking good position here, dude.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, you know, going back to that video we did about earache, and we talked about special editions and all this sort of stuff. Let's have a look just quickly at, you know, how both acts are selling packages. Now, something that's really interesting, Shikari, they've obviously got quite a lot of special editions and bits and pieces. I don't think it's quite as egregious as other labels do. But something that's really interesting, like I mentioned, they were charting at number 1 on that early prediction and at number 5.
Yes.
Right? Now, what does that say? That says, if you look here, there are a couple of special editions that include their live at Alexandra Palace 3, which is a recording from one of their recent shows. And that says to me, they're selling so well, they're charting 2 records in the same week.
It's amazing.
It is. This is incredible. It's a different thing. You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah.
It is something different. Whereas, you know, we looked at Those Damn Crows, we looked at Massive Wagons, we looked at Scarlet Rebels, and again, I would say each one of those bands is at a different stage. And Enter Shikari are obviously, you know, further ahead than all of those. But it just shows kind of like the strength of the fan base and whatever, that they can put 2 records essentially out, one being limited edition, and that's getting to number 5. If I wanted to look cynically, I could go, well, it just shows how many records you need to get in the chart. But I don't know. I kind of feel, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, you can buy 14 versions, and maybe that isn't the right number, but a lot of versions of the same album. I mean, you could say, okay, Shikari are kind of doing this a little bit, but they're actually giving more content. It's not the same thing. You know, they're putting a live record out, and that's a pretty good achievement. You know, by itself. I mean, something that just came to mind is, could Taylor Swift release 10 records on the same, or you know, do like bundles like this, but each one is a different record, like a different live album? Like, could you get someone like Taylor Swift having 10 new entries in the top 10, 1 to 10? She's got not just the 10 singles, she's got the 10 albums. That's something I want to see happen. I want to see one of the big dogs do it. Drake could do it.
Oh, Drake could.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. Let's have a look also. Yeah. Let's just have a look quickly. You know, because we've kind of been a bit critical of this. Oh, everything but the girl. Same game.
Same game. Yeah, with this one, I think it's slightly different. I was saying off air just a second ago, I think Enter Shikari are probably the gold standard in how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think Everything But the Girl is maybe not. It's maybe more on the earache leaning side of things. However, though, I don't feel...
In what way?
That you're not getting as much stuff, but
True.
Yeah, there's still... and let's be honest, a green vinyl and a black one, and the whole of their branding's pink. Someone's fucking missed a trick there.
Right.
You know,
I'm just gonna come out here, right? I was actually gonna say, although they haven't got like loads of different limited editions and loads of extra content in the way Shikari do, I think what is commendable here is you're not seeing as much of like, here's a package where you can buy one of everything, because I think it's quite obvious this is all, you know, just literally it's just a color of a disc or whatever. That there isn't this big push to go, do you want 14 copies of this record? Like, there's 2. Do you know what I mean? And I think what's also interesting 100%. As well is that they've done the Blu-ray, the HD audio, the Dolby
I was
Atmos
just going to
mix.
come to that because I'd missed that when we were talking about this the first time. I have
Yeah,
to hold my hands up. I missed that. I'm just looking at that. I was like, oh, actually, as I said that comment, I redact that because it's not the same thing. All right, yeah, they have Mr. Trick with a pink vinyl, and a green one, a bit weird. But yeah, look, it's not the same thing. And I know a lot of people are getting into the HD sound of things now, which again puts, referring to back what I said there. This is a good thing. Will this with something like this, as I'm just thinking off the cuff here, is this going to push streaming services to offer that high fidelity sound that we're talking about? A while ago, one of our first videos was talking about Spotify Platinum.
yeah.
That was rumored. Nothing's come of it yet. But maybe something like that could tie into it, where you're thinking, actually, there is an audience for people that want it better.
Or do you think it basically becomes like a new sort of vinyl? It's like, for physical media enthusiasts.
Or yeah, it could be a gimmick.
One of the things that I would just put out there as well, maybe for people who don't know, I think that one of the big reasons Nicky's redacted that is to do a Dolby Atmos, HD audio version. There has been significant outlay. Essentially, the album's been mixed and mastered twice.
Oh yeah,
so
that's not pulling any punches. Sorry, that's pulling loads. It's mental the cost they put into that. Yeah,
yeah. You know what I mean. So although it's all the same songs, it's a completely different listening experience. If you're lucky enough to do that, I mean, I've got.
It's not the same thing. It's not going to be the same thing.
I've got some pretty snazzy headphones down there that I can do like the spatial audio and whatever. So I'd actually be quite. I like the record. I'd be tempted to get that. Give it a listen on my big.
See, I haven't actually heard anything in the Dolby Atmos stuff yet. I haven't heard anything. So
really?
Yeah, and I know some people have lost their shit over it. They're like,
do you know? I mean, I've just basically like you can just get some like sample downloads and you can listen to what it can do, and it's interesting. I was going to say like it's really strange because it feels like 20 years ago, before it was just on the cusp of like what's going on. Like, is it streaming? Because like you were kind of having like Napster on one side, and you're having like the Metallica lawsuit, and on the other side of things, you had artists like 9 Inch Nails. I know Korn, when they did Untouchables, they were really going for that high fidelity sound. That where are we going? Are we going more compressed? Like, do you know what I mean? Lower quality, but more people can achieve it? Or were we going, records on DVDs and Blu-rays and all of that, where you can have a sonic experience which goes beyond what you could get on a CD? And it feels like, obviously, in the short term and probably in the mass market, we've gone for what's accessible.
Yeah, fast food mentality, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe now is the time where people, you can craft a niche. And I think, an act like Everything But the Girl are perfect for this. I'd actually say Enter Shikari would be a great band to explore what they could do.
Yeah,
with that.
Dude, 100%.
They've always been sort of on the forefront of mixing different influences in with rock music.
They were the first for me where I heard that kind of. I remember it's like, oh, it's like rock music with dance music.
It's like someone got a Chaos pad for Christmas.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, do you know what? That's a bloody great point, man. Maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. Yes, we're talking about charts. Yes, we're talking about the whole record companies doing the bundle thing to help chart position. Yes, of course. But really, is there another conversation that has come out of this? Is that, are we seeing people want good quality stuff? They want something tangible. They want something to hold on to. That's coming back. And also, there's a new thing of where, people are wanting to pay attention to the finer details. Yes, of course, you've got your casuals that are nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with the old casual. I want to listen to music on a playlist. I don't mind paying 10 quid a month and I get the whole world at my fingertips. Brilliant, fantastic. I like the fact that you've got these options. But now you've got these things where you can see people championing certain artists and also going, not only am I going to champion this, I want to be involved. I want to experience this as close as I possibly could to the artist without going to see it live. Of course, that's a different kettle of fish. But especially with this HD Atmos stuff, this is good. I've when we were talking about doing this a couple of days ago, I was like, oh God, another chart thing. But now I'm eating my hat because, sometimes I will eat my hat over the course of being on the show quite regularly, and that's fine. Is that we're seeing a good turn in the tide. I'm feeling really positive about this. I'm feeling good.
What a great place to leave it. How are you feeling? Like, listen, in the comments, let us know. What do you reckon? Is it Enter Shikari or is it everything but the girl? I've flown my flag. It's the blue and gold of St. Albans, and I'm going for Enter Shikari to hit number 1. I reckon they're going to do it. What do you reckon, Nikki?
I'd like to see them do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Fuck you.
Sorry.
Anyway, well, yeah, that was great. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think, and yeah, fingers crossed. But I can never do that. I always go with the right. I've got to.
It's because you're right-handed.
Probably.
And you're my right-hand man.
Well, and I'm doing a left-hand job.
Good hand job.
That, anyway, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, guys. Thanks so much. Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.